Good day, duelists new and old. Welcome to Senpai YGO. Today, we're going to talk about what you need to watch before you check out my film, Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Space. Are you ready? Let's begin. So before we get into what's mandatory to watch prior to this film, we can actually get into what is not going to be necessary for your viewing experience of Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Space. And in particular, Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, as it's most commonly known and referred to as, it had a film that came out. This film was essentially about a new character named Shogo, who was otherwise a pretty timid duelist that was so intimidated by the idea of dueling that he often wouldn't duel, but one day he pulled a Red Eyes Black Dragon from a pack visiting one of the local card shops, and this almost somewhat changed things, at least in terms of his perspective when playing the game. But even still, he was not quite bold enough to actually play, and was so fearful of the idea of even just losing. So to summarize, Yugi, Jonochi, and friends, they all end up meeting with Shogo, and meanwhile, Kaiba, now sporting the brown hair, not with the green hair that was especially shown throughout Season 0, well, he decides to put together a bit of a tournament, and Yugi ends up participating. Shogo doesn't, but what Yugi decides to do in order to encourage Shogo to be willing to play his cards, and especially Red Eyes, is taking Red Eyes and putting it in his own deck, which by the end of the film, Red Eyes becomes an integral part of the puzzle in order for Yugi to once again defeat Seto Kaiba. But this film, while I did enjoy it for what it was, I ultimately decided that it was not going to be considered canon for the storyline and timeline that Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Space takes place in. So this film will not really be counted as history for any of the characters that are featured in the film, especially for those Season 0 characters, such as Miho, of course. This film won't count. But that being said, we should obviously switch gears to what you do want to get into, what you do want to watch prior to this film to understand certain things, especially in regards to where the characters have been and what they've been up to and what's led them to this point. So, first and foremost, to understand a good majority of the characters that will be featured in this film, you're going to need to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0. I'd even recommend checking out some of the early stages of the manga before the card game really became a massive focal point of the overall franchise. I'd really recommend even checking out some of that just to kind of get a bit more of a vibe to what's really going on here to understand the foundation, but especially for Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, which just so happens to be available for free to watch here on YouTube. And as far as what I would recommend, especially for your experience viewing Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Space, I would recommend that you check out the original Japanese version of the show. And as a matter of fact, with YouTube subtitles enabled, you can actually find a playlist that was put up together by a particular creator, which I'll go ahead and show on screen now so you see their channel. Shout out to you, by the way, if you happen to catch this video. Love the work that you've done prior to now. But that being said, you can check out his playlist. I'll leave a link to this playlist where you can watch all of Season 0 and get the full experience down below. And that being said, what you also need to check out, which thankfully is also now available on YouTube to watch it, you can watch it any which ways you see fit, but especially if you want to catch it in English dub, for example, you can now watch Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions right here on YouTube. You don't have to go anywhere, and I'll again leave a link to it down below. But you're going to want to watch this film in order to understand where a lot of the other characters who are going to be featured in this film are coming off from, what events that they've experienced prior to the events of this film. So it's going to be very important that you go ahead and check that out as well. But that's a basic summary of everything that you guys are going to need to go ahead and do a little bit of research, if you will, on in order to again understand where some of these characters are coming from and what they've experienced, what their storylines are, etc. It's going to be pretty important. But that being said, there's actually one other thing that I'm going to sprinkle in here for you to check out if you'd like. Now, some of us have probably already seen this in the first place, so you'll probably be able to skip this if you remember it enough. But I would also recommend that you check out Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light. I can't really say any other particular reasons why other than if you want to get a little bit more context to perhaps certain things, check out that film. Anyway, that's basically going to summarize everything that you really need to check out. Once you've done that, you're going to be 100% prepared with far more context and arguably far more build-up and more excitement around what's going to be going on in my film. So, thank you so much for tuning in and giving this a quick watch. Again, you're going to have all the links that you need down below, so take your time. You've still got plenty of time. As of right now, the film is a good ways in. We've already hit over 30 minutes of completed footage, and I've still got a lot of work to do, so bear with me on that, and of course, updates will come as well. I should also mention that we did open up a Patreon since YouTube decided to demonetize me pretty much right around when this project first was launched and took off. So if you'd like to support further, and it would really truly make a massive impact in terms of my ability to work on this thing and have access to certain things and what have you, that's a really good way to support. But especially if you have the time and are able and willing, share out this channel, share out the videos from this channel on any and all platforms on social media. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, anybody that's interested, even if it's your cat or your dog, go for it. Share it as much as you'd like. I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for those that have already been here. Thank you for those that will join us along the way. And as always, it's time to duel.